Hey everyone, Sean O'Connor here from Macabre Daily, specifically the Paper Cuts column, where I get to talk to horror's best and brightest and most dynamic and most creative authors out there. And today, it's a special treat for me because I'm talking to Saratoga Schaeffer, who has written one of my, if not my favorite horror novel of 2026. How you doing, Saratoga?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the compliment.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you so much for coming on to Paper Cuts. I reached out to you a couple of weeks ago, and you were kind enough to send an arc. And everyone, your whole team, everyone's been fantastic to schedule this and coordinate. And I got into the novel, and we'll get into it. But let me tell you something. I wasn't quite prepared for what I would read, what I would learn about trad wives. It was an education for me. And then something that I want to talk to you about, and I'm scared that you're going to tell me, Sean, that wasn't my intention at all. But we'll stick a pin in that for now because I feel like this is a bit of a fractured fairy tale. But I want to stop there. I want to stop there. First and foremost, let's start with your author bio. And this is the people familiar with the Paper Cuts the interviews know this is the hackiest portion where I read it directly from the book, but no regrets. Saratoga Schaeffer, they, them, has a background in marketing, PR, film, and wellness. Their cunning, dark debut, serial killer support group, by the way, my next read, thank you very much, was a best pick of the month by Barnes & Noble and Amazon and was named one of 2025's biggest thrillers by Goodreads, originally from Brooklyn. All right, New York, how you doing? All right. Saratoga now lives upstate with several needy animals and a haunted clown table. All right, I mean, how am I going to skip past haunted clown table? Please.
Yes, I love my haunted clown table. So I got it at a thrift shop, as you do, which I
As
think
you
is the
do.
only correct way to get a haunted clown table. It's literally like a little end table, and it's got these like clowns it's carved of wood, and it's painted like pink and green, and the clowns are like the legs of the table that are like holding up the surface of it.
Nope.
I just, there's no actual evidence that it's haunted, but I choose to believe it's haunted because it looks like a very cursed item. And
Saratoga, all you had to say was clowns.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's perfect. I love it. It's like my favorite table. It hasn't murdered me yet, which I'm very grateful for.
Well, we're all grateful for that. Are you kidding me? The future ahead of you, please. This also feels like possibly your next novel.
I know. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Quick true story. Myself, my brother, and my sister all have a debilitating fear of clowns because my mother hung the same like thick oil painting clown portrait above all of our cribs. Kind of ties in perfectly with Sweetheart, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And when we grew up, we were just at a barbecue one day, and we're all just hanging out, and the subject of clowns came up, and in that moment, we all started saying, "Oh, how much we were terrified of clowns," and we brought it back to that oil painting, and then we look at our mother, and she's like, "What do you want from me?" you know?
Yeah, did you ask her like what the thought process was behind putting up a terrifying clown above your child's crib?
It comes up every holiday as well. Not only have we asked her, we ask her plural infinitum because she's not getting off the hook for that. We are traumatized, and it's this lovely woman's fault. I love my mother, but she did this to all of us, and she
Yeah,
needs to pay the price.
maybe she was trying to prepare you young for like all the horrors, like to avoid clowns. Be careful.
Oh, you just took it full circle. Are you saying that I have my mother to thank for my love of horror and all of this behind me?
Yes, probably. I mean, she would probably love that explanation. So let's go with that.
All right. Oh, I'm going to call my mom after this and thank her. Oh, look what you've done. All right. As everyone knows, I always start off the interviews. I'm curious little cat. and I always love to know, what is your horror origin? Were you a monster kid? Did you come into it late at life? Is it something that you honestly not or even crazy about to this day? So give us a little peek behind the curtain.
Well, I'm very interested to meet the people who are not crazy about horror and are writing horror books. I think that.
Saratoga, it happens. Not a lot, but it happens and it's fascinating.
So I will say that I'm not a huge horror movie person anymore. I used to be a lot more. And then I think like the real life horrors got to be too real. And now my like nervous system is shot. And I also have pretty severe generalized anxiety. And I don't like to sit through something that's going to replicate the feelings that I feel naturally every day.
I'm with
So
you.
I'm not a big horror movie connoisseur anymore.
Okay.
I used to be. And when I was younger, I think everybody who kind of ends up in horror reads a Stephen King novel when they were like way too young to be reading a Stephen King
It's fair
novel.
and true.
So
Yeah.
for, so for me, that was The Stand, and I read it. I think when I was like very young, like not like 9, but like early teens.
Okay.
And that was, I loved it. I completely loved it. It like opened up a specific door for me for kind of like post-apocalypse stuff. I then went on to read The Road, which was also probably something I was reading way too young.
Like,
um,
yes.
so yeah, that's kind of how it started. I have always been drawn to the darker side of literature. I've been writing for my whole life. And one of the very first short stories I can remember writing was about a murderous nutcracker. So, like, bam, right out the gate, I was doing horror stuff. And that has sort of continued throughout my experience of being a reader and a writer. I'm also very drawn to fantasy. So, when I was younger, I was in 2 very different lanes where I was reading, like, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then I was reading The Stand. So, it just kind of evolved that way. But I didn't think about writing horror myself until, I mean, fairly recently in terms of like my writing career, because I've been writing for a really long time. I've been writing seriously to try to get published for probably a decade. And only in the past like 5 years or so did I start to dabble more with horror. And then once I started doing it, it just felt so comfortable and natural. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been wanting to do the whole time.
You found your gear.
Yeah. I do also love, I mean, I get bored easily. So I like writing in a bunch of different genres. And I came up in thrillers. So I really do love a thriller, but there's something about horror that is just so welcoming, which sounds weird, but it's just fantastic. So that is how I kind of found my way into this genre.
Oh, I think you nailed it. It's not weird at all. Welcoming. It's the perfect word for horror. And I honestly, I've been speaking about this the past couple of interviews, just how the horror genre and the horror community is very welcoming and very open, and it's kind of the antithesis of the perception. Because people who don't like horror, they're curious and maybe and it's certainly not confrontational, but they're curious. They're like, "What is it?" You know, and they kind of look at you like, "What do you get out of it?" And it is just this ability to kind of unpack your demons, whether it's you're reading it and kind of leaving your trauma on the page by reading a scary story, or you go into a dark theater and you have this cathartic experience that is hopefully nothing you'll ever experience in real life, but you get to unpack it and then walk out into the sunlight, and there's something very freeing about that. And it's just been my experience doing this now for the past few years that the horror community and the horror people are just the most wonderful people I've ever had the pleasure of speaking to, you know?
Yeah, they're fantastic. It's been such a fantastic community. I'm so excited to like meet more people and get deeper into it. So it's just been a really, really warm welcoming.
You said something about, cutting your teeth when you were younger on fantasy. And I think that is so interesting because you're reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and The Stand, but there's definitely like this cross section,
Hmm.
of like a dangerous journey and anything can happen. And you're going to see the review in Macabre Daily for Trad Wife later on today. And I honestly use that in the review that you take the reader on a journey, and it is dangerous. You know, like all good journeys are in fiction,
Yeah.
it's dangerous. There are no guardrails, and anything can happen. And chapter to chapter, we just get further and further on the precipice of the abyss. And sometimes we get pushed over, and sometimes we get pulled back, and you never know. And that's the delight in it. And you do it so well.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. So let's get into let's get into Trad Wives. Before we get into the novel itself, I'm so curious to find out your experience with Trad Wives and this online community that I really knew nothing about and got an education in through your novel. And now I'm a little maybe too curious. It's a compulsion.
Yeah, watch out. Your algorithm will suddenly be filled
Too
with
late.
beige minimalist houses and women in peasant dresses. Yeah, so I guess I have been very peripherally aware of trad wives for several years now as they've kind of become more mainstream.
Were you finding them in your feed like they would just randomly pop up?
So kind of. I made sure to curate a feed that did not really have that happen, but every so often one of them would go viral for something that was like kind of absurd,
Okay.
and then it would reach me. So it was when I was still, when Twitter was less of a hellscape and I was still on Twitter, like things would pop up there, or I would, see it on Instagram or somewhere else. And I remember there were two specifically. One was the Ballerina Farms egg apron debacle, which is when she has been asking for like tickets to Greece or something, and her husband gets her a present and then records it live on video, and the present is an egg apron, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's an apron to put the eggs that you collect from your chickens into. And she has, a very interesting reaction to it where it seems like she's trying really hard to be excited and happy after even saying in the video, "Oh, I hope it's tickets to Greece." So
Ow.
that went viral and everybody was kind of talking about it, and that clocked my interest, and I was like, "What is this? Like, what is this lifestyle?"
Yeah.
And then the second thing I took notice of was, I think it was like a couple of years ago, where one of the Tradwife influencers declared that folic acid was bad and could not be in your food. And that actually ended up making it into the book. But yeah, so I had just these little blips throughout the past couple years or so where things like this were happening, and I would clock it and then I would move on. And 2 falls ago, so not this fall, but the previous fall, I was talking to my sister and we were texting, and she actually didn't know what a trad wife was either. So I was telling her, kind of explaining what they were, what their jam is. And that quickly devolved into me actually pitching her the idea of this book. And I was like, I just have this fantastic horror book idea. It's going to be called Trad Wife. This is the situation. And then a week later, I wrote it, basically. And it happened very quickly, very intensely, but it was the most fun I've ever had writing a book ever.
You can tell.
Which, I think comes through a little bit. But yeah, so it was kind of just something I had been aware of, and I guess was subconsciously cooking. And then when it came to the forefront, it was good to go.
It is, it's evident the fun you're having. It comes off the page. This is going to be a spoiler-free discussion. So if I pause, don't worry. I'm just trying to stop my goofy mouth from ruining anything, even though I can edit. So I don't know why I do that. But I want everybody needs to go out and get Trad Wife. And I'll tell you why. I just want to start with the experience first, and then we'll get into some of the minutia. And then I really want to talk about the Rosemary's Baby of it all.
Yeah.
So the experience that I had was very much like when I read Michael Wehunt's The October Film Haunt last year. It was my favorite novel of 2025. If you're lucky enough as a reader, I've read some incredible fiction for years now. It is a golden moment in horror. and I don't see it ending anytime soon. Touch wood. It's just fantastic. Now you are adding to this. 2026 is it's just it has been phenomenal so far, and I don't expect it to end. Anyway, you take the reader on a journey where, through Camille's experience, the the weight of what she is going through starts to actually affect the reader. The claustrophobia of her world shrinking in as her husband is gaslighting her. These aren't spoilers. It becomes fairly evident early on that something is up with Graham. As her just like overwhelming desire to be impactful in the social media world, in the trad wife world, gets more and more desperate as her want for a child becomes unfulfilled until, like, all of this, you write in such a way that chapter after chapter after chapter, it's subconscious. But that weight, the reader starts to feel it. And again, I won't spoil anything. We can discuss that because it's right on the cover that Camille uh Camille essentially kind of makes a deal with a demon unknowingly and gets a baby, as is her wish, by throwing a penny in a well. By the way, I mean, come on with the penny in the well. I love that so. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I'm getting ahead of myself. And I want you to talk, so I'm going to stop talking in a second, I promise. But my question to you is, were you aware of the effect that that was going to have on the reader as chapter after chapter after chapter, we were just taking on the weight, as Camille is, of just disappointment and sadness and heartbreak? Were you aware that you were doing it, or is it just like lucky circumstance?
Yeah, I mean, so the reason why I made Camille so isolated was because I wanted the reader to go through that same experience with her. I think that kind of like almost a locked room vibe can be a
Yes.
little bit tricky sometimes because like when you're writing it, you're like, oh my God, like this is, she doesn't talk to anyone. She doesn't go anywhere else. She's just in this house. She's just in the field. Like,
Yeah,
is
totally. It's
this too
heartbreaking.
much? Yeah. And so like when I'm writing it, it's a little bit like, is this too isolated? Am I really keeping her too claustrophobic? But as I went on with it and realized where the story was going, I was like, no, I have to lean in. I have to commit to this because the whole point is that she's isolated. The whole point is that there's this claustrophobic dread that's throughout the whole book because there is no safe space. There is no outlet that she can get to. She's in the middle of a freaking wheat field next to a forest. She interacts with like one or two people, her husband and her nosy neighbor, and those are the only people she really interacts with in real life
Yeah.
until the creature and eventually her child come into the picture. So that whole isolated, solitary concept was really important actually in crafting the story because I wanted the reader to have that same experience. And this book is told from Camille's point of view and you're inside her
Yes.
head.
Yeah.
So it in that kind of sense too, it can be very claustrophobic, especially for people who maybe don't resonate with her values or her lifestyle or her choices. Like that in itself can just be the horror for somebody because she's a challenging character at times,
Yeah.
intentionally so.
Oh,
So
yes. Very
all
much
of
so.
yeah, all of that is like put together to make you have that experience. I mean, I think that's kind of part of the big horror aspect of this is being stuck with her.
I'm going to compliment the heck out of you right now because I think it would be easy for a writer, for the author to kind of telegraph the loneliness and the desperation and the despair, and you don't do that. Camille is very much, this is what she asked for, this is what she wanted, and she is kind of high on her own supply to a certain
Mhm.
degree.
Yeah.
And even as things stack up, she's still rationalizing. So you let the reader absorb it as Camille is. We're on a journey together. Oh,
Mhm.
Saratoga Schaeffer, you, I mean, I really, I hope you're taking this. This is sincere and genuine. It just really, it bowled me over because I can't write. so, so when someone does this, when it's like magic to me. When you can manipulate a reader to feel these things almost to a physical extent. It's my favorite thing, and you did it, and I enjoyed every sinister second of it. I really did.
I'm glad to hear that.
So that's the experience part that I wanted to talk about. So everyone listening to this who has not read Trad Wife, you're in for an experience. You are going to go on this journey along with Camille, and it's like a funnel. The claustrophobia we were talking about, it gets narrower and narrower and heavier and heavier until dot dot dot. Camille starts to find herself, and this is where I'm going to watch my goofy mouth. Camille starts to find herself in her newfound motherhood, and then that funnel starts to go in the opposite direction, and we start to open up. Now here's where you may say, Sean, that I mean, good on you, but this isn't really what I intended at all. Camille's journey, the simplicity, and I don't mean that as a dick, but the simplicity of the juxtaposition between her trad wife aesthetic of, it's kind of and you can fight me on this if I'm misreading it. The aesthetic of like let's make family great again. I mean, it's very alt-right, it's very conservative, and it's very let's go in the way back machine to like the 1950s to June
Yep.
Cleaver and Betty Draper and all that. You you do this move where you're like, oh, okay, you want to go back? Oh, we'll go back. All right. We'll go back to essentially like Lord of the Rings, where we're summoning, like we're going to go to a well and we're going to summon a demon. Like you take us so far back that it ends up in folklore.
Yeah, we went biblical.
It was so great. Oh my God, Saratoga, I'm so glad that you said that. Because I'm like, did I misread this entire novel? You you
No,
you you take us back, all the way back.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you mentioned in the beginning a little bit like this sort of fairy tale sense, and that's something that I'm very interested in. We can talk about this later, but the horror book I have coming out in the fall is
Yes,
also
please. Oh
fairy
yeah,
tale.
we will.
Um, but that kind of idea that Camille is living out essentially a fable, and a fable that is centered around traditional gender roles and what it means to be a parent, what it means to be a mother, what it means to be a wife, was something that I think was not, maybe I didn't sit down and be like, this is the story I'm writing, because that's not really how I write. I just get the story, and it's usually very high concept, and then I dig down to find like the character and their arc. And I think that was maybe a subconscious thing I was thinking about. And then when I finished it, I was like, oh, this has kind of got like fairy tale vibes. But that makes sense to me because that's the kind of stuff I like to read. I love a retelling, and I love kind of like those dark fairy tale vibes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely intentional. And Camille's journey, her character journey from being like this very kind of delusional, a little bit brainwashed, bought in trad wife to who she becomes at the end, was very exciting to write for that reason, because it gave her character just so much dimension. Because I think it's easy to write a trad wife novel where like the trad wife is kind of like one note or is portrayed in one specific way, and I wanted to give her more dimension, more nuance, more body, basically, than just to be this kind of, whatever, head in her clouds trad wife lady.
That's one of the heartbreaking aspects, is that you slowly, peel back the layers to Camille, and we see that she was a stellar student, wanted to be a scientist. Like she had a direction. and it goes askew. And I won't, like I said, I won't spoil anything. And then you get the sense that she was kind of grasping and then ended up here, like basically like a life preserver grabbing onto the trad wife aesthetic. And then she kind of grasps at something else later on in the novel and finds agency. And it is terrifying. And like, you take us through it. The horror aspects of this novel are fantastic.
Thank you.
But I will say that there's a beauty to it. Uh, and and I mean that, I truly mean that as horrific as everything goes, there is also a beauty to the freedom of escaping that prison that she constructed for herself. And I'm going to stop there because I feel like I'm brushing up on spoiler territory, so I'm going to shut my mouth. Let's talk about Rosemary's Baby.
Mm.
I do research before having a guest on, and I read the reviews and I listen to interviews, and there's a lot of, I mean, it's even on the I believe it's for the UK version. It's on the cover.
Yeah.
This is a 21st century Rosemary's Baby. In my review, I go one step further and I say it's better. Sorry, R11, don't come at
Oh
me.
God, that's a bold claim. I don't know about that.
And I'll tell you why. Saratoga. You, R11, the novel's great. I love it. And I love the movie. I do not love the director, but you have to separate art from the artist. It is a classic. But Levin takes us up to the doorstep. You take us into the house. And it's true. I mean, you show us what it means to raise a demonic child. And it is everything the reader, and I'm sorry, the listener and the viewer thinks it is. And you take us there, and it is fantastic to behold. But what I really want to talk about is the characterization, because in Rosemary's Baby, you had Rosemary, who was kind of like an innocent, and
Mm.
you had Guy Woodhouse, who is despicable. Graham is very much a Guy Woodhouse, but I'll challenge it and say so is Camille, because she has that unabashed want and desire for social media stardom.
Mhm.
So she's Rosemary and Guy, and I think that's fantastic. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, Camille was super interesting in that way because I knew she had to have more agency than Rosemary did, basically. And
Mm.
Camille makes a lot of choices in this book that may confuse or frustrate the reader, but that's
Fair.
very intentional. And she's doing that for a reason. You might not understand the reason, but it makes sense to her in her mind. So she's doing it. And I mean, Rosemary's Baby is amazing and totally inspiring. I did want to be careful not to like make this a retelling of that and
It's
to
not.
have it be.
It's not.
Yeah, I think it fits on a shelf with it. I think if you have Rosemary's Baby on your shelf, you would probably want to have Trad Wife on your shelf too.
Fantastic read along, but they're separate and
Yeah,
distinct, each of them.
yeah. And one of the big things I think with, I mean, I'm not the first person to do like a demon baby or a demon pregnancy, and I certainly won't be the last. But something that was very important to me was Camille's agency and Camille's consent. I think when we see these demonic pregnancies or demonic babies, there's usually a lack of consent happening for the female character. And I really thought it would be a little bit empowering, and B, interesting to see what would happen if Camille was not only consenting to this experience, but was like a very enthusiastic, willing participant. And that I think is something else that makes this a little bit different than some of those other demon baby, demon pregnancy things. And that was something that I tried to be very sort of intentional with when I was writing it, because there's definitely ways that you can make this story even darker and even more disturbing. And I intentionally did not go that route for this one.
What a great point. I didn't even think about that. That, yeah, I mean, she's on board. She's
Yeah,
absolutely on board, where there's so many movies and so many books where that is not the case.
yeah.
Great call out. And again, it makes your book distinct and different. Anyone who reads this, I think they're going to get the Rosemary's Baby vibes just because of Demon Baby, but it is so monumentally different and goes in such interesting directions, unlike Rosemary's Baby. But like I said, perfect read alongs. And yeah, I mean, tempt me with a good time. Read one and then roll into the other. Okay, sounds great to me.
Yeah,
All right, I want to talk about the moment that the book is having. It came out, did it come out February 10th?
it did. Yeah.
Okay. So when we're recording this, I think today is the 26th, I think it is.
Yes.
Horrible. So it's been out for 2 weeks essentially. And it has been gaining such steam. The reviews are fantastic. It's truly having a moment. It really, really is. So I want to ask you, how's that feel?
It's completely surreal. It's really, really like wild for me. Like I said at the top, I've been trying to be like a traditionally published author for a decade, and that is not easy. It's a really, really hard path. It's a really hard journey. You have to get tons and tons of rejection. You have to see books die. You have to get agents and change agents. And it's really tough. And I just feel kind of just so grateful and also kind of out of my mind that like now I'm a USA Today bestselling
Right?
author, and TRAD Wife hit the indie press bestseller list 2 weeks in a row, and it's an aardvark book pick, and it's unbelievable, really. And I mean, my debut novel, Serial Killer Support Group, came out last March, so it hasn't even been a full year of me being an author, like a published author. So it's just been, I'm just so incredibly grateful. Like I feel like I say thank you a lot, especially on my social media. I feel like every post I'm just saying thank you. And that's just how I feel. I am just like so much gratitude for like the readers and the podcasters and the bookstores and everybody who's like done any kind of like support for this book. It's just been absolutely fantastic to see. I'm just completely honored.
I don't know if you're ready for this or even want to hear it, but you earned it. You're the one who
Thank
wrote
you.
it. you know?
Thank you. It is very validating, to like, feel like you're working really hard. I like work full time. I have a 9 to 5 day job. So like it's very validating to be like, oh my God, like all the stress is worth it. Like, thank God, like I have something that I can like put in my bio now. It's not
It
just
paid off. Yeah, all that hard work paid off. The late nights, the early mornings, it all paid off. This novel, I think it is going to look, it's early in the year. I know that this is going to end up on the Macabre Daily top 10. So you have my
like,
word. It will
uh,
easily be on the
sweet.
top
Thank
10.
you.
It's going to be interesting year for you. I'm going to keep in touch because I want to know the exciting things. Promise you'll tell me.
Yes.
All right. Look, I'm not going to jinx anything, but this would make such an incredible film. So I'm just putting it out into the ether. I'm just putting it out there. Oh boy. Just the visuals, like the wheat field, the forest. I mean, and look, and we're talking about beautiful aesthetics to begin with the house and Camille and all of that. So just, and then taking that and skewering it as things progress, I can see it visually. I wish I was a director and I had millions of dollars to give to you. I'd snap it up right now.
That would be great. I would love that. I actually have a degree in film studies, and I came up in the film industry, and then I quickly, not quickly, but I was like, I don't want to have to move to LA, so I pivoted. But I do have that kind of background in film, which I think informs some of my writing. And it's interesting because I'm actually not a visual person, so when I'm writing, I have no idea. I don't know what characters look like. I don't know what anything looks like. I have to go on Pinterest and find a house so that I can properly describe it, because I'm like, putting staircases that are leading into the sky and there's like no hallways. So I don't know what the heck is going on in my book. So that's what I need to do. But I do think that that film background sometimes informs the way I write, and it maybe comes off a little bit more cinematic than is happening in my mind, which everything is like kind of like people like just bumping into each other and walking around. But yeah, I mean, I think this would make a fantastic movie or limited series or something. So if anyone wants to like give me like a bunch of money, then we can do that. That'd be great.
Please do. Please. I mean, it could be like a cartoon. It could be a bag with a dollar sign on it, but please drop it off in Saratoga's driveway. We need to see this. This is such, I overuse this with my authors that I talk to because I think I read cinematically. So everything comes off it. I'm a movie person, so everything comes off cinematic for me. But this one, the visuals, it wasn't overused. It wasn't like overtly cinematic. It was just the right amount where I could see it painted clearly in my mind, but my imagination could add to it, which I appreciate. Like it wasn't like specific, you know?
Yeah, because I don't know what it looks like. That's why it's like that.
Love
I'm
hearing that.
Sure
Love hearing that. I love that you're on Pinterest like, nope, 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 nope. Okay, let's talk about what we have coming up because, like you said, I mean, it hasn't even been a full year yet, and now we have your second novel. So, what's next for you?
Yeah, so this is my second novel, and it's also the first of three books I have coming out this year, which is wild.
Holy
It
cow!
kind of worked out that way. My agent over last summer was like, "Are you sure you know what you're getting into? Like three books in one year?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's fine." And now we're into 2026, and I was like, "Oh, this might have been a mistake." But no, it's amazing. I'm very grateful again, and I'm having a lot of fun. And it's only February, so we'll see what the rest of the year has in store. But yeah, so my next book comes out June 2nd, and it's called The Last Time We Drowned. And that is a psychological thriller about a bookstagrammer who gets trapped on a yacht with a bunch of other influencers. And there's a hurricane, and she thinks one of them is a murderer. And she keeps seeing what she thinks is like a ghost of a drowned girl lurking around the inside of the yacht. So it's very meta. It's very like touches on like the publishing industry and bookstagrammers. So it's very like a fun locked yacht thriller.
Oh, I'm getting you back for that. Oh, you have to promise you'll come back and talk about that book.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to. It's going to be a good, I think, summer read. It's very in that kind of vibe. And then in September 15th, my next horror book comes out, and that one is called A Thousand Monstrous Forms. And that one is a contemporary gothic horror. It's a sapphic Bluebeard retelling about a ceramic artist who moves into her new wife's manor, and she is afraid that the place is haunted.
Oh,
And
you
she's
had
not.
me with Bluebeard. Are you kidding
Oh
me?
yeah, yeah. So that's what I got coming out this year. It's a busy year for me.
Who has two thumbs and is going to talk to Saratoga Schaeffer two more times in 2026? This guy
That'd
right
be
here.
great. Yeah. I'm happy to do that.
Oh, you just made my day. I am thrilled to read your upcoming work. First off, besides horror, what are my favorite other subgenres? Mysteries and thrillers. So this is right in my sandbox. And then to roll into another horror novel in September. Oh, you spoil us. This is fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, of course, the fear now is that like I will never be able to top Trad Wife again, and now I'm like terrified that all my other books are people are going to be like, this isn't as good as Trad Wife.
Hey,
So
these are good problems to have. All right.
yeah,
The bar is set very high, but I believe in you. And yeah, I'm not worried. Not
thank you.
worried at all. Okay. So that takes care of 2026. Tradwife, I'm gonna hold up the book again, everybody. It's right here. It is out. Also, in the link below, you're going to have the links to follow Saratoga on Instagram and to purchase the book. And I highly recommend both, please. I do this with all my authors. I already told you. I am going to ask you for one horror. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say horror. I'm going to ask you for one novel and one movie that you think our viewers should immediately go out and check out. Let's start with the book first.
Okay, so there's so many books that I want to shout out. But I kind of have like what I like call book amnesia, where I read a lot and I really love reading and I really love books, but they don't always stick in my head. Maybe because I read a lot and I read fast, and maybe just because my brain is so busy worrying about stuff that it just deletes those files immediately. But if I can remember a book pretty well after years, I think that bumps it up into like you have to read this territory.
Oh, for sure.
So the book I'm going to recommend is I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me by Jameson Shea. It's a YA horror book about this black ballerina. I believe she's living in Paris, which the fact that I can even remember that is great because I read this like 3 years ago. And it's kind of similar like TRAD vibes actually, where like that like there's a deal with a demon maid. And it's very dark, it's very bloody. There's like this like cave and like cave full of blood and like alternate world. It's just so good. I think about it maybe like once a month, which I think is very rare for me, where like it just pops into my head and I'm like, God, the vibes and like that book was just so, it was so brutal and I loved it so much. Like that, the fact that I'm still having that experience 3 years after reading it, I think says something.
I'm gonna get that damn book tonight.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend it. It's really, really good. And I think the focus on like the ballet scene is so interesting. It's kind of got that like Black Swan vibes a little bit too. So that would be the book I would recommend for sure.
And I love Paris,
Then,
so I'm in.
yeah, it's good. I think there's a sequel actually as well, which I have not gotten around to reading. I think it came out this past summer though. So
Okay.
there are two of them. So if you like the first one, you can like dive right into the second one.
Oh, great recommendation. Cannot wait to read that. Okay,
Yeah.
film. What have you got for us?
So film, this is not a deep cut by any means, but I think this film pairs very nicely with Tradwife, which is why I'm going with it. And that is The Shape of Water by Guillermo del Toro. And I mean, also Pan's Labyrinth is amazing, but that's not the one I'm picking. I'm picking The Shape of Water. And it's definitely like kind of like a horror fantasy. And I don't really want to say anything about it because if you haven't seen it, I think you should just watch it. It's got this kind of like creature horror romance situation, which if you read Tradwife will ring familiar, and it's just really good. So that's what I recommend.
So good. I worship at the throne of Del Toro. I just love his visuals. And that's one of my favorite movies. I mean, it's essentially it's his Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Mhm.
And it is, yeah, it when you said The Shape of Water because it pairs so nicely with Tradwife, for a second I was like, wait, what? But you're so right. It really, you have to, I had to think about it for a second and I was like, oh, that's spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, I got like a trade review that had comped it to The Shape of Water, and I was like, yes, you got that's exactly what I was going for. I love this so much.
It's going to be so hack if I go into my review now and I'm like, by the way, it's also so much like The Shape of Water. I might do it. I might do it just to make you giggle.
I give you permission to edit it and change it.
Fantastic recommendations. Thank you so much. It's one of my, it's so much fun for me to hear authors, their recommendations, and they never disappoint. So those are great. Saratoga Schaeffer, do me a favor. Get sleep and hydrate. This is going to be a roller coaster of a year for you. All right. Don't you make me
Thank
worry
you.
about you.
Yes, I'll do my best. I have a giant water bottle that says serial killer support group on it, so I'm good to go.
Love it. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna bully you into talking with me two more times this year. Sorry.
No, that sounds great. I had a great time.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to read the books, but I really am. I'm thrilled for you. I was so looking forward to meeting you and talking to you, and this was everything that I thought it would be. And I'm just, I'm gonna be smiling for quite some time because you're the real deal,
Oh,
and nice things deserve to happen to nice people, and I'm just thrilled for what's ahead for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited, and it was really fantastic chatting with you about all these, demon babies and bloody situations
Right?
and claustrophobia. I love it. It was great.
I mean, just the amount of like earth and soil in the novel, it just spoke to me. I just love it so much. Ah,
You gotta love the bottom of a well. Everyone
you,
loves the bottom of
oh,
a
and
well.
you have to love what comes out of that well. And I
Oh
did. And you will too. So everyone, one more time, the novel's Trad Wife. You already know that because it's everywhere and it's getting stellar write-ups. And you deserve it because you put together a fantastic novel.
yeah. Thank you.
We'll talk soon. I'm going to give you a break from me for the next couple of months, but we'll circle around and we'll get into mystery. And then we're going to get into, I mean, of all the things you could have said, Bluebeard? Are you kidding me?
It's a great.
It's
It's a
like you're
great.
reading my mind.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of the Bluebeard stuff in there, and then I got to like put all my very niche nerd literature interests in there. Like there's a big through line with Edmund Spenser's The Fairy Queen. I love it so much. It's a doozy.
Those are the best parts. And that's what we as readers, that's what we like, totally dine out on. So I can't
Yeah.
wait. I mean, look, it's months and months and months away. So I have to temper my expectations and just slow my roll.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Exactly. Have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me
Thank
today.
you. Thank you. Anytime.
All right. Sounds good. Take care, Saratoga.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.